More than 24 conservative and pro-life groups want the Justice Department to prosecute violence tied to the Supreme Court leak. They seek a meeting with Attorney General Merrick Garland, asking him, quote, to publicly condemn these unlawful attacks, to commit to vigorous efforts to prevent them and to investigate and prosecute them. And joining us now to discuss is Ryan Anderson, president of the Ethics and Public Policy Center and co-author of the pro-life book, Tearing Us Apart: How Abortion Harms Everything and Solves Nothing. Ryan, welcome back. Always so good to see you. A lot to get to tonight. But first, as Eric reported, Speaker Pelosi deflected a question about the attacks on pro-life centers by emphasizing her belief that women should be able to get abortions. At the same time, she said she is, quote, a very Catholic person. I'd like to get your reaction to that.
So many things come to mind. First is that you can't be a very Catholic person and not defend the weakest amongst us. Pope Francis has spoken repeatedly about our call to be reaching out to those in the periphery, those marginalized, and no one is more marginalized than the unborn child whose life is threatened with lethal violence in the womb. Second, she used the word choice over and over in that statement. The pro-life pregnancy resource centers that are being attacked by this group, all they do is exist to serve women who are choosing life. Women come to them seeking assistance, and pregnancy resource centers assist them. They help them. They offer them a wide variety of forms of support for women who choose life. And it's unclear why Speaker Pelosi doesn't want to affirm that choice, why she doesn't want to protect those women. It just seems it's a missed opportunity for her to speak clearly and condemn violence and tell Jane's Revenge to stop doing this.
Yeah, and speaking of that, I want to talk about that statement now from that pro-abortion group that's been attacking the pregnancy resource centers. The statement says in part, quote, we promise to take increasingly drastic measures against oppressive infrastructures. Rest assured that we will. And those measures may not come in the form of something so easily cleaned up as fire and graffiti. And it seems, that's pretty clear they're threatening even more violence. Ryan, what do you make of all this?
It's utter evil. I'm not a theologian, but, I would dare to say that it's demonic. That entire statement, whoever drafted it, something is not right with that individual. It just struck me as pure evil, likely demonic. It has no place in American society. The idea that what's been taking place over the past month is nothing compared to what we're about to see. Is something that should be getting the attention of the White House, getting the attention of the Department of Justice. There should be forceful condemnations of this from both sides of the aisle. You don't need to be pro-life to say that we're against violence for pro-life resource centers.
Yeah, and I understand that you signed on to a letter to Attorney General Merrick Garland asking for the Department of Justice to address these ongoing attacks. Tell us more about that, and have you received a response?
Well, we haven't received a response yet, but the reason why we're calling on DOJ to respond to this is that there are a variety of federal laws that are being violated by these groups. This shouldn't be left just to local law enforcement. This shouldn't be the situation where pregnancy resource centers that operate on a shoestring budget and based upon volunteer hours have to hire private security for their locations. There's a federal response here because federal laws are being violated. And so far, we've heard crickets. I mean, if you reach out to them asking for a comment, they might give you a response, but they have not been a forceful presence in condemning these attacks or in beefing up measures to protect these entities that are, under threat.
Yeah, and I know the FBI defines domestic terrorism as related to abortion as unlawful use or threat of force or violence in furtherance of ideological agendas relating to abortion. Now, based on that definition by the FBI, should the actions that we are seeing from these pro-abortion groups, should they be considered domestic terrorism?
So I asked a couple legal experts, because I'm not a lawyer myself, and I asked them that question, and they all said, based upon that definition that you just read just a moment ago, that it sure looks like many of these attacks fit as domestic terrorism. But even if they don't fit the domestic terrorism label, they all violate the FACE Act, which is a protection to make sure that both access to abortion clinics and access to pro-life pregnancy resource centers are protected, and the attacks on churches violate a federal law that protects religious spaces. So there's a variety of federal laws that DOJ, the FBI, the Department of Homeland Security could be enforcing. even if it doesn't quite fit the definition of domestic terrorism. Although the legal experts I spoke with said it sure does look like it fits that definition.
Yeah, well, we're going to leave it right there. Ryan, thank you so much for your time. Always great to get your insights.
Thank you.